What's going on, guys? Welcome to Po Boys, and in this video we are working on Tanner's S2000, the car that y'all seen before, and this thing has been a gem. What we didn't know is that under the hood has a lot more surprises than we ever would have expected before. This car is not only just built, and no one told him, we had a ride trying to get it going back together. So this is gonna be a two-part series of us taking this car and completely rebuilding it, but not just rebuilding it, finding out that it's completely built. So guys, enjoy the video. Feel free to comment and like if you want to. This is a wild process. Enjoy the video.
S2000.
What's wrong with it?
I've got a little bit of a leak, just a tiny one.
Valve stem seal leak.
Yes.
But since these cars rev so high, they go through these valve stem seals like nothing, and it's about time for Tanner's to get changed. So we're gonna pull this head off of the car, pull the valve cover off the car, we're gonna pull the cams out of the car and the VTEC system, get these valve stem seals changed, and hopefully we will not burn blue smoke anymore. This car, sadly, is burning blue smoke. You can see there's some sludge in there from burning oil. We're gonna try and get that problem fixed, and valve stem seals hopefully should be the fix to our problems.
Let's hope.
So let's go ahead and tear it apart. So we just popped the cover off, and now we have the timing system on the S2000, and it is not set in time right now. So let's put it in time, take it apart, and then put it back together, and then put it back in time. So
Let's do it.
all right, so I know some of you might not have an S2000, but if you ever want to know, these two slots line up with the case. I'm only taking it apart, so it's not lined up perfect. And then these two slots line up with each other. There's not too much more that goes into it than you have to line these two marks up, and you have to line those two marks up. And then down here on the crank, there's a line that marks right there too. I'm gonna go ahead and put it at perfect. That's gonna be TDC. Now we can pull these cams off. We have the retainer caps out, and the next thing that comes out after that is the cams. Pop these guys out. There's a singular cam, that is the exhaust side. Now for the intake cam.
Through the magic of editing and the problems of the phone, we ran out of storage while we were taking the car apart, so we just jumped to the part where we have the head off. Sorry I didn't have the footage for it, but I wanted to start recording as soon as we found out that it wasn't just going to be a regular maintenance drop, because I wasn't thinking the video was going to be that interesting. And then obviously it did. Just watch. The reason why we took this car apart is because it was smoking pretty bad on wide open throttle, which is a common problem on these things because they rev to 9,000 RPMs from the factory. They go through valve stem seals pretty often because those valves are constantly moving at high RPM. Basically just wears out the seals. So we took it apart and saw that there was some upgraded parts in here. There are ARP head studs. There's not bolts there, which come from the factory on most cars. There's studs. Someone's been in there before. That was our first sign. Someone's been inside this car. Second sign, this is a piston. There's some carbon on there because obviously it's had some oil in there. Look at that. That says 0.25. So this is an F20C piston. However, this is not a stock piston. That says 0.25. So not only is your top end have ARP head studs, your engine has been bored out. This engine has a lot of work done to it. We don't know what's all done to the bottom end, but we can show y'all what's done to the top end. And this thing can flow over 1,000 horsepower with the goodies that it's got on it already. It's kind of wild. The story gets even crazier. So let's move over into the house so we can show y'all the head. So I wanted to jump in real quick, and I want to say this video is sponsored by Po Boys. Yes, Po Boys. Cars are not cheap to build, and we did get some merch. New merch. Looks good on me, and it'll look good on you. So if you want to support the channel, we got a whole box. It's not much, but it's the first run we have. Hit us up on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it may be. The tags are right here. We're gonna do the first order, very personal. If you want a signature on it, we'll make it happen, and you get to talk directly to us. So for the first run, if you want to support, you can say you started out early. Let's start something big. Yeah, it looks good. Let's do K. Enjoy the video. So right here we have a completely taken apart head. The reason why we have taken it apart is because first off, we saw a few things that were not OEM when we first started taking it apart. We kind of had a little idea of maybe someone's been in here before and done some work. So we found out that there's valve springs on this thing, and let me go ahead and pull those up. This is titanium. That's the valve retainer. And this is a dual valve spring, which means if you look in there, there's two separate springs inside of here, and that is not stock. The F20Cs don't come with that. So that obviously threw some red flags because that's kind of interesting. And we started taking the valves apart and found out how bad the valve stem seal leak was because we found some pretty bad carbon on the valves. So here is said carbon. We tried to wipe these valves off, and these are the exhaust side valves. That was not happening. These right here, just see how crusty that is and how built up that is? That is not normal. If you notice, these are titanium valves right here. Without knowing anything else about this valve, all we know is it's titanium. So we go ahead and order a new set of exhaust valves because the intakes are able to be somewhat salvaged. We're able to control those guys pretty good. But the exhausts, that carbon is not coming off of there without hurting the valve in the process. So Tanner went ahead and bought a stock set of exhaust valves. Here's what happened. So with the stock exhaust valves that we bought, put in, zoom in there. Does that look like a problem to you? Because to me, that looks like a problem. The seat for the valve has been upgraded from 5.5 mil valve stems to 6.5 mil valve stems. Who does that? People that make over 1,000 horsepower. Here's the situation. My boy Tanner, right freaking here, paid $10,000, what, $11,000?
I paid $11,000 for the car.
What? Brother. So Tanner ended up paying $11,000 for a 2001 Honda S2000 that he thought was completely stock with under 100,000 miles. Nowadays, they go for a pretty penny, over 25,000 stock. And no one told him that his engine was built. Let's go ahead and put back together this engine that was built beforehand and no one ever told you about it. What? So far of the things that we've noticed that have been upgraded on the car, an entire SuperTech titanium valve train, and that means dual valve springs, upgraded valves, valve seats, retainers, even that means it would have to get bigger seals, so which he had to order bigger seals too, ARP head studs, oversized pistons, and we just kind of cracked into this thing. So she really is kind of built. You're going to be handling 500 horsepower, which toot to the YouTube, subscribe, she'll be making that much horsepower here soon. So here is the new valves right here. We had to order them custom from SuperTech. Actually, SuperTech didn't even have any in stock.
It was a lot of looking, but we finally got some source.
The proper valves, which are 6.5 mil stem, 1 mil bigger than stock, so they will be super strong. Freaking SuperTech box. Okay, so we do LSs and occasionally Fords when they don't blow up, but SuperTech is macho beans for S2000s and for Honda guys.
Those are thick.
Brother. Oh my gosh. Okay, so these are the upgraded ones. These are the ones with the thick heads. This is the thickness of what they were before versus what they are upgraded to. This in itself probably costs about $1,000 just to do this one little mod to make the valves just a little bit stronger, which means whoever had this car beforehand had a lot of money and they wanted it to be safe, which is good so Tanner can have a safe car because someone spent the money he didn't have to on it. He only paid $300 for these custom made valves and all we have to do is install them, put some seals on, and don't have to worry about any other work. So it works out great. Let me make sure this fits. Moment of truth. Yes. Like a glove. Good stuff, Tanner.
Let's go.
There was a whole shamo blamo situation and finally got valves that work. It's kind of hard when you have to order valves for your car twice because you just don't know what's under it and you don't know it's built. It's a win-lose, but win-win really at the same time. Let me show y'all a crustable versus a not crustable.
Ooh. And that's what a valve stem seal will do to your valve.
Well, there's one thing, when you put valves back inside of an engine, this one is machined from a machine that probably just got made the other day. Since we're putting new valves in there, the tolerances aren't the same because you can't machine something the exact same every single time. There's going to be a very, very small, like millionth that is off or thousandth somewhere. This will sand the seat right here and it will make it match the seat right here. If you don't know what I'm saying, watch me and hopefully you can understand a little bit easier. We have coarse and fine. So you can get this kit anywhere at any parts store or anything, but we got it off of Amazon. Get a 360. And that is enough. So we have some compound on there. Let's go ahead, put it into where it's going to go, and let's make this valve match the head. So pop her into place, grab this here dealio.
Oh yeah.
Did you hear how fast that was? Okay, so the way you lap valves is you basically just rub and rotate until it gets really coarse, until it sounds like it's kind of just really smooth. And you can hear That sounds amazing. All right, let's keep on going. Pull it back out, pull it in. That is going to be it for the first round of valve lapping for this guy. So we're gonna go ahead and clean off all of this surface right here. If you can tell, in here, there's kind of a shiny area where it had been cleaning. We're gonna go ahead and wipe all that down because it is now making a mating surface and that valve compound is working. So we're gonna do that, clean it off, now do the fine compound to make that seat perfect. So now we have the fine lapping compound around the valve. It's already been coarse, so now we do fine, seal the deal, basically like sanding how you go higher in grit. It's the same exact thing with lapping compound. And just like before, gently put it in there, place it down, and go until it gets quiet.
It's cool that you can hear it getting quieter.
And then we're gonna sucker back in, get a little more compound on that contact spot, and then do it again. You can really feel it whenever you're actually spinning it. You can feel the grit inside of there digging into that metal and actually making a nice surface and smoothing out. Feels really weird to do, but you really do feel satisfied by the end of it because you can feel how smooth it gets. That right there is one valve ready to go, matched for cylinder number 4. Your last exhaust valve. So we're gonna start from the back and then go to the front. This one is done. We got 7 more to do. Let's go ahead and get these all lapped because you pretty much know how to do it already. We're just gonna do the rest on all the rest of the cylinders and then we'll get with you whenever we have the next step. We have the SuperTech valve seals that you need to order whenever you have bigger valves than stock. Finally got these. We ordered stock ones, but ended up getting not stock ones. Tanner's had a ride with this car. So let's finally put these things on because they should fit because these are a little bit bigger than the stock ones. So we use our tool, put it inside, and she seems bottomed out. That is all of the seals installed. So we can put all the valves in. They will be sealed, they will be ready to go, and the valves are now matched to the head. We can finally put this built top end back on the built S2000. Which is sick because we get to call it built now and Tanner didn't even get to spend the built money, which is really sick when you realize that he probably has more money into the motor than he paid for the car.
That's crazy.
He didn't even know that. So that's pretty sick. All right, so now we just do as we did before. Exhaust, intake, exhaust. Let's freaking go. They're all on there. This engine is ready to be put back together. There's a little bit of carbon on these valves, but we've cleaned off pretty much everything that's going to flake off. Those exhaust valves look freaking gorgeous. SuperTech, y'all make some gorgeous parts and some strong parts. The world kind of knows that, but if you don't, Honda parts, SuperTech parts go very well together. SuperTech will keep it alive. Let's put some springs and retainers on this thing.
Dude, it's time.
Let's go. Putting freaking dual valve springs inside of this thing. Might as well, why not?
It's starting to hit, dude. Like,
Is
this
it
thing
really?
is about to be crazy.
Heck yeah, it is.
I just want to make some stock V8s mad, to be honest.
Oh, trust me, with what we've got coming up, you're gonna make some stock V8s mad. The world will soon understand what that means. But until then, let's go ahead and put some valve retainers in these guys. So after even more inspection, we got all the exhaust valves on there and we have everything in place. We found out that the bigger exhaust valves, the seats for the valve retainers are actually a little bit bigger as well. So we figured that considering that these are bigger, so we went ahead and ordered those. So if you could see in here, there is a gap that's pretty large. And if we go to the other side, this one is good. These are the older ones. That gap is a lot smaller in there than that gap. I mean, if you can look at them side by side, you can tell those gaps are a little bit smaller. Even the valve retainers are upgraded. So those on the right are a little... Nothing to see here. All right, well, those retainers are a little too small, so we're gonna go ahead, pull these back out because I do not trust that at high RPMs, 9,000 RPMs. We don't want gaps like that in there. We want gaps like that. Yes. He was asking me if it was done, and I was like, wait 1 sec. So I pulled out the camera, and yes, it is done. The whole thing is together. We got the new seals inside of there. Those things should seal all your oil. Hopefully we don't white smoke, and if we do, we've got ring lands to replace, and if we don't, well then, we got a 1,000 horsepower capable top end on this thing. This is freaking wild. All those guys look good in there, changed out. that's going to be it for tonight.
Sexy.
Let's go ahead, get this ready to go, and then we will install it in the car tomorrow. We cleaned off the head surface, and we cleaned off some gasket material that's right here for the timing system. One thing that's just kind of cool that F-Series, and I don't know if K-Series does this as well, but these usually fall inside the block. They put a little like stick in there so the timing chain holds in place if you have the head off the car. That's really cool because usually they don't. You have to fish back in the engine for that timing chain. It's kind of a process to get back. So that's something cool that Hondas do that you wouldn't really think about it, but you know, they just do it already, so it's kind of sick. All right. Well, we have the new gasket to go on. This is another F20 head gasket. These things are good to seal a lot of horsepower, and it should hold all the boost. Yes, all the boost. There's no turbo yet, so
Yet.
we're just gonna keep teasing it until it finally happens, which will be soon, and y'all will not be ready. Head gasket is on the engine. We went ahead and cleared off these other cylinders. They don't look really amazing, but they do look way better. There's just no built-up carbon on them now. They're not completely clean. We didn't want to get into the aluminum walls, so we only rubbed the top of the piston just to get that carbon deposit that the valve stem seals left on there. So we just want no carbon. So we got that clean. New head gasket's on. It's time to put a head on your car for the first time. You will know that you have a built engine, because you've had it the whole time and no one even knew. So that's sick. We'll be able to actually turbo it, and you won't have to buy anything to make it better because it just is. Which is why we thought turbo. We don't know if the bottom end's built, but we're going to take a guess that obviously it's been gone into before because someone put 25 over cylinders in it. So that means that someone's been into it. We don't know. We're not breaking into it today. We'll find that out another day. But the built head is going on the car. Let's do it. Head installed on the car. We're just gonna give her some good bumps all the way around, make sure she's sealed. She's sealed. ARP head studs are already installed on this thing. We gotta put the ARP stuff on. 3 rounds of torquing on the heads on this guy, so we're gonna go all the way to like 94 foot-pounds. You guys know how to torque a set of head studs. You've seen it millions of times. Let's go ahead and torque these down and we'll get back with you.
Very cool.
Bruh.
Well,
You have a pool. What even? We ran out of storage on the iPhone yet again. We're not filming with this much anymore, to be honest with you. We have 2 new cameras. We're not gonna have any more problems with this. Back to the video. And so we have put this thing back together a lot, so I'm sorry I skipped over a few parts. We went ahead and put the cam chain tensioner in, the VTEC solenoid in. We timed the engine, and as you can see, there's 2 timing marks right there that are in line with the pan, and then down there, there's also a timing mark for top dead center from earlier. Put the rocker assembly on this thing as well, but we have the exhaust bolted up, and we also have the intake bolted up, so this thing is about to be ready to get back together completely. We have to do the alternator, belt, a few more things, put the cams in, and we will be ready to start it up. What you doing over there?
So for some reason, there's some plugs under here, and they've been sprayed with a seal, so no water was coming out. Look at this. Bro, what?
That's a lot of water. Oh my gosh.
Why would you seal those?
Bro, dude, there's so much more water in there. That goes down a good 3-4 inches. That's crazy. And it's still just leaking. Gushing, bro. What?
Whoever owned this car before me, I'm shaking my finger.
But they built an engine for you, bro. Are you mad still?
I no longer shake my finger.
You can shake your finger, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Stooky, baby. Dude, look how much water this is. And it's still coming.
This makes me so sad. But don't worry, it hasn't been in there for long. It just stormed, but still.
Yeah, right. All right, guys, we have the S2000 in time here. If you look right there, this thing is ready to go as far as the engine. All this stuff is now put back together. All we have to do is plug the wires in, a few more sensors. We have to put the alternator back in, a few more small things, but the car will be back up and going here soon. All right, so we have most of the engine together. All we have to do now is most of the wiring harness, and we'll be ready to go. I'll update y'all whenever we're back. Y'all see? The engine is very much back together. We got a cold air intake on this thing, intake on it. Tanner is throwing some oil inside this thing right now. Tanner, the car is ready.
She's ready.
She's ready. So we're gonna go ahead, throw this thing back together. Wait, we already did that. No. We're tired. We're tired. I'm sorry, I've been working. But we're gonna go ahead and start this thing up and see if we can get this thing running again. This car, how long has it been since it's ran?
2-3 months.
So it's been a minute because we've been waiting on parts. Oh my gosh, it's been another one of those processes where you build into the car and then you start buying stock parts for it and then you realize that all the parts you bought were wrong. So Tanner's been going through that little process.
It's been a process.
But I mean, you got a built engine out of it, so it's not a bad gig.
No complaints. I didn't have to pay for the built engine, so...
Yeah, that is true. Is it moment of truth time, ladies and gentlemen? Are we finally doing it?
I don't even know what to say.
Okay, so I guess we're doing it. So we're gonna start the built engine. Turn it on?
Let's do it.
We always love to see it because just worked on this thing. Hopefully she does what she wants to do and is supposed to do.
Fire in the hole!
Fire her up.
What the fuck was that?
Oh no. Oh no, Tanner. That's not good.
Damn it. My fault. I tried.